Hey everyone, it's Sammy from Push Square, and I wanted to make a video today talking about content curation on the PlayStation Store. Now, this has been a hot topic for about a week now, and I think we are in a kind of slow news period, which is why this has come to the fore so strongly over the past few days. But you may have seen last week a game released on the PlayStation Store called Life of Black Tiger, and this has drawn a lot of interest from some of the bigger kind of industry pundits, the likes of Jim Sterling, Colin Moriarty from Kinda Funny, and it's brought up this topic of content curation on the PlayStation Store, and everyone seems to have a different view on this. Colin Moriarty, in fact, actually got into a bit of a Twitter dispute with ex-PlayStation third-party chief Adam Boyes, where they were discussing this actual topic. And one of the suggestions that certainly the industry pundits seem to be coming up with is that Sony needs to better curate the kind of content that is put on the PlayStation Store. And by that they mean if your game is not very good, they're not going to let you sell it on the PlayStation Store. And Colin Moriarty even talked about having this kind of PlayStation Store panel, which I imagine to be like a bit like the X Factor or whatever, where they say your game can be sold, your game can't be sold, that kind of thing. And this whole thing just seems crazy to me. The idea that you would sell less games because they don't hit a necessary standard. I just don't understand why people would want and fight for less choice. Sony built the PS4 on the entire principle that it's open for developers. You know, they had the whole indie, PlayStation loves indie slogan on their t-shirts and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's led to some amazing games. We've seen the likes of Rocket League is an indie game. You know, Inside is an indie game. There are tons of amazing indie games on the PlayStation Store. Some of them release out of nowhere and you've never heard of them before. They come up on the PlayStation Store, you give them a try and they're amazing. Now, there's also a lot of garbage, and like no one is going to deny that. But I feel like it's the media's job to kind of filter that stuff and point you towards the best stuff. And actually Life of Black Tiger, or whatever the game is called, is getting way more press than some amazing games just because it looks absolutely terrible. Now, I haven't played Life of Black Tiger, I don't know anything about it, to be honest with you, and it may be the best game ever made. It certainly looks terrible, and I understand that. I understand where all the criticism is coming from, but to say that Sony should curate heavily and stop developers from selling their games, it just seems wrong to me. Because you think about Colin Moriarty's suggestion of having a kind of panel that picks what games go on PlayStation Store and what games don't. How would that even work? Does the developer make the game and then be told that it can't be sold, so it's in massive debt because it's got a product that it's created but can't sell? How's that going to work? And if they have to pitch the games, then who's to say that a pitch may sound bad but the game might be amazing? I mean, imagine Psyonix going to this supposed PlayStation Store panel and saying, we want to make a game about cars that play soccer or football. And the panel say, that sounds like a terrible idea. So Rocket League wouldn't have got made under that circumstance. Now, I know they had a prototype in Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars already and stuff, but you kind of see what I'm saying, right? It just seems like a really bad idea to clamp down on the content that can be sold on the PlayStation Store. I think there are a few things here. Sony needs to make sure the PlayStation Store itself is optimally promoting the cream of the crop. That's really important. Discovery of content is key on any digital storefront, so they need to make sure all of the good stuff is filtering to the top. Stuff that's getting low reviews, user reviews, stuff that's getting not much traction in the media needs to filter down. You know, that's important. But I feel like it's really weird for me to hear industry pundits, you know, people whose careers depend on informing consumers about what games are good and what games are bad, sort of almost not wanting to do that work and wanting a PlayStation Store panel to curate the content for them, so they only have to cover the good games and stuff. Like, I know that's not necessarily what's being said, and I understand where most of these pundits are coming from. They're saying that, what am I trying to say here? They're saying that, like, the PlayStation Store is in danger of getting overrun with bad content, bad quality content, and I get that. You know, you only want to see good games for sale. I understand that, but I think once you start curating like that, once you start setting sort of quality parameters that there's never going to be any consistency. You know, what is a good game? It's subjective. It's different for everyone. I think you get into a dangerous place once you start doing that, and it's going to annoy developers. You know, if you're a developer and you're told your game isn't good enough to be sold, then that's crazy, right? Because as a developer, you're going to be proud of what you've built. You're going to have a ton of investment, both financially and time-wise and effort-wise, and then to be suddenly told that your game doesn't hit some ambiguous quality tier, so it can't be sold, seems just absolutely insane to me. And it's the kind of bad treatment of developers that people would have gone crazy about earlier in the generation. And I felt like we'd got past all this. Sony needs to make sure that the PlayStation Store has good discoverability. The media needs to make sure that it spotlights the best content, and that I don't think curation is the answer. You know, games need to run properly, games need to work, that's all important. I absolutely agree. But is telling a developer that they can't sell their game because it's not good enough really the answer to this problem? I don't think it is. I don't think we need content curation on the PlayStation Store. I think it's a crazy suggestion to even imply that there should be a panel of people picking what games get sold on the PlayStation Store. That's just mental. But let me know what you think. Maybe you disagree with me. I certainly am not going to play The Life of Black Tiger, but I appreciate that it exists, and that it can be bought if people want to. And look, it's getting like I said earlier, it's getting way more promotion than great games. So maybe they did something right in making that game and releasing it. I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do we need more curation on the PlayStation Store, or is it fine as it is? And thank you so much for watching.